Anicet Ekane, the Patriot Cameroon betrayed. There are moments in a nation's life when the air itself seems to tense, when the truth forces its way in, uninvited, unforgiving. This is one of those moments. Breaking news: Anicet Ekane is dead. Opposition leader, liberation fighter, unbending son of Cameroon, gone in state custody after yet another stolen post-electoral season under Paul Biya, now 93, still gripping power after 42 years of rule that long ago stopped pretending to be anything but domination. And here is where the story cuts deep. The country moves on, as if nothing sacred has been violated, as if the death of a patriot were a clerical error to be filed and forgotten, as if a collective shame were just another item on the national calendar. Cameroon's people have watched Biya outlive Frundi. They watched Yondo Black fade. And now they have watched Ekane be taken. Yet they whisper. They wait. They brace for miracles while refusing the effort required to earn them. At some point, and perhaps that point is this very hour, the truth must be named. Cameroon is not held captive only by an aging ruler. It is held captive by a population that has confused endurance with courage, and silence with survival. Ekane's death is not simply a tragedy. It is a mirror. And what it reflects is an indictment, one that falls on the nation itself. Stay with us, because the full story is coming, and it will demand more than passive listening. And before we go further, take a moment to subscribe to Kilimanjaro News Network. Hit the bell. Not for vanity, but because the only defense against darkness is to stay informed, stay alert, and refuse to sleep through your own history. They have taken Anicet Ekane, and the country inhales, slow, steady, disturbingly calm, as if nothing sacred has been violated. As if the disappearance of yet another voice were a minor administrative adjustment. The ones responsible: Paul Biya, Paul Atanghenji, Ferdinand Ngongo, Dion Ngute, those curators of decay who turned a living nation into a mausoleum with a flag, continue their work with the same cold efficiency. Men who have built their longevity on the bodies of the very people they claim to govern. And here is the part that stings more than the act itself, the silence that follows. Not the brutality. Cameroonians, tragically, have been conditioned to expect that, but the vacuum that arrives afterward. The kind of silence that forces a person to wonder whether a whole population has been carved from wax and set near a furnace, melting yet somehow unmoved. Ekane is gone. Just as Frundi is gone. Just as Yondo Black is gone. And Biya, this immovable shadow sitting at the center of the nation's paralysis, has watched every one of them fall. Not because time carried them, and certainly not because fate decreed it, but through the slow, intentional erosion that has become the regime's signature. Suffocate their influence, starve their hope, break their resolve, then step back and pretend nature did the rest. More than 4 decades he has outlasted them. Not on strength, no. On the weakness of a population that has allowed itself to be worn thin. Ekane's death is not a tragedy. Tragedies, after all, are accidents. This was policy, an announcement delivered through a body bag rather than a briefing. It was the regime reminding Cameroonians that their hopes, their sweat, their patriotism, even their lives, matter only when they serve the survival of power. And the most infuriating part? The regime expects the reaction it has always counted on. A shrug, a flurry of outraged posts, a few shared quotes, and then silence. As though democracy were a mattress waiting to be fluffed back into shape once the uproar fades. So the question rises, unavoidable, sharp. What is the price of belief? Not outrage. Belief. Because belief demands weight. It costs sweat, risk, discomfort. And if the only sacrifice made is a moment of online indignation, then honesty is needed. This is not a struggle for Cameroon, it is performance, a ritual of grief meant to soothe conscience without requiring courage. Ekane sacrificed. Frundi sacrificed. Yondo Black sacrificed. Many who will never be named sacrificed. And the people? What have they sacrificed? Let it be said plainly, perhaps impolitely. If the citizens cannot take the first step, they must stop demanding rescue from the diaspora. If they risk nothing, they cannot expect others abroad to risk everything. Help is reinforcement, not foundation. The citizens are the foundation. And that foundation is cracking under the weight of excuses. The diaspora cannot save those who refuse to save themselves. It can amplify, support, strengthen, but not replace courage. It cannot bleed on behalf of a population hiding behind resignation. This country is not dying because Biya is powerful. It is dying because too many citizens have chosen complaint over action. And action is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is the quiet refusal to participate in one's own degradation. Sometimes it is joining others to puncture the fear that has turned millions into spectators of their own suffocation. Sometimes it is simply saying no more and proving it with discipline instead of emotion. Ekane's blood is speaking loudly, urgently, accusingly. And if it does not pierce the national conscience, then perhaps the loss runs deeper than a patriot. Perhaps what has been lost is the capacity for shame. The truth stands, harsh and unaltered. Biya will not step down by will. He will not suddenly remember he is mortal. He will not sprout a conscience he never possessed. He must be compelled by pressure, unity, and collective refusal to release a country he has suffocated for decades. Not through chaos or destruction, but through disciplined, coordinated resistance that no palace guard, no propaganda machine, no aging autocrat can endure. But all of it begins with the citizens. Their courage. Their sacrifice. Their refusal to wait for someone else to write the story of their deliverance. Anicet Ekane gave his life to a country that still struggles to be worthy of him. Now the question rests before the nation. Can they make their lives worthy of his? Or will another hero's blood evaporate into nothing? The question is no longer at Biya's doorstep. His answer was delivered long ago. The question now lies with the people. The time is now, not tomorrow, not someday, not after another diaspora appeal. Now. Let Ekane's blood be the last Cameroonian blood spilled for silence. Let his memory become an oath. Never again. Not one more. Let us now pause for a special report. The martyr of Cameroonian democracy.
The news of the death of Anicet Ekane has sent a shockwave across Cameroon and the African continent. On December 1, 2025, one of the nation's most enduring opposition figures, George's Anicet Ekane, leader of the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, MANIDEM, died in state custody at the age of 74. His family, lawyers, and political allies are not calling it a death by natural causes. They are calling it a programmed killing, alleging that the regime of 92-year-old President Paul Biya intentionally denied Ekane his essential oxygen concentrator and proper medical care while he was detained at the notorious State Defense Secretariat (SED) facility in Yaoundé. This is the profile of the man they could not silence, a man known by his people as the lion who never knelt. Who was Anicet Ekane? The making of a lion. A life forged in defiance. Anicet Ekane's lifelong commitment to resistance began not in a political rally, but at a firing squad. On January 15, 1971, as a young student, he witnessed the public execution of Ernest Wandi, the last leader of the Anti-Colonial Union of the Populations of Cameroon, UPC, referred to as the Marquis. That single, brutal act of state violence in Bafoussam became his political awakening. Political roots. He joined the UPC in 1973 while studying economics in France. Upon returning to Cameroon in 1983, a year after Paul Biya took power, he immediately resumed clandestine political work, the price of freedom. In 1990, alongside Maître Yondo Black, he was a key figure in demanding the return to multi-party democracy. For this, he was convicted by a military tribunal and sentenced to 4 years in prison. Even after a presidential pardon freed him from Ideya prison, the trauma of the forced labor camps in Baturi and Yokouduma could not break his spirit. 50 years of unbroken resistance. Ekane's political career was defined by a practical, relentless opposition to the Biya regime's entrenched authoritarianism, which has maintained power for 43 years through rigged elections and the systemic erosion of institutions. He was the architect and mobilizer behind some of the most powerful displays of civil disobedience in Cameroon's history. The villes mortes, ghost towns. Ekane and Manadem helped organize nationwide strikes where citizens withdrew all cooperation, crippling the economy and proving the people's power to paralyze the tyrannical regime. The Carton Rouge Campaign. A clear, visible public denunciation of corruption and government looting. Advocacy. He was a vocal advocate, fighting against extortionate practices by electricity companies, AES Sonal, and tirelessly demanding justice for victims of state brutality, such as the infamous Bapanda 9 young men who disappeared at the hands of security forces. His final act of defiance came in the contested October 2025 presidential election. After his ally, Maurice Kamto, was barred, Ekane offered his party's nomination to keep the opposition's campaign alive, later supporting rival Issa Thiroma. By publicly challenging the fabricated results that declared Biya the winner, a president who has abolished term limits and routinely oversees elections marked by fraud, Ekane sealed his fate. Ekane's last days. A programmed killing. Ekane's death comes amid a highly volatile post-election climate. Rights groups, including the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, have expressed deep concern over the post-election violence, noting the excessive and disproportionate use of force against peaceful demonstrators and condemning the arbitrary arrests of political figures. Arrest and detention. On October 24, 2025, Ekane, who was 74 and suffering from severe chronic respiratory illness, was arrested, or as his party states, kidnapped, by soldiers in Douala. Denial of care. He was taken to the SED in Yaoundé, a facility where torture has been documented by Human Rights Watch. Crucially, his lawyers attest that his oxygen concentrator, essential for his survival, was locked away in his impounded vehicle. For 38 days, requests for its return and transfer to a proper hospital were repeatedly refused. Official response versus family account. While the Defense Ministry claims he died following an illness and was receiving appropriate care from military medical staff, his son, Munir Ekane, directly contradicts this, stating his father had been suffocating and was not provided proper treatment. For the opposition, Ekane's death is a chilling illustration of the regime's impunity, which Human Rights Watch has documented as leading to thousands of civilian deaths and displacements in the ongoing Anglophone crisis. Ekane's death echoes the fate of at least 48 peaceful protesters allegedly shot and killed since the contested election results. Anicet Ekane's passing is a monumental loss, yet his life's work, as the heir to the revolutionary UPC tradition, has set a defiant standard. His philosophy, "Politics is like a bicycle, you must keep pedaling, or you fall," has become the rallying cry for a new generation. For those in the diaspora, whom Ekane specifically called upon for support, and for the youth of Cameroon, his legacy demands action: keep the pressure on, document every abuse, and unify to ensure the lion's sacrifice was not in vain. History, he believed, would eventually remember the martyrs, not the executioners.